Good day, everybody. This is Chris, the Ancient Scholar. I hope this video finds you all doing well. In this particular video, I'm going to begin talking about the ventilator circuit and some of the essential accessories that I think you're going to need when thinking about using the Hamilton-T1 ventilator for mechanical ventilation, particularly when considering the transport environment using this particular ventilator. So the most common type of ventilator tubing that you're going to be using is going to be this right here. This is what's called a coaxial breathing circuit. The coaxial breathing circuit is a bit unique, and it is a little different from the more traditional Y tubing, where you have both an inspiratory and expiratory limb. With the coaxial tubing, you see that you have a tube within a tube. So the blue tube, the inspiratory limb, is contained within the white or expiratory limb. So that kind of minimizes the amount of quote unquote spaghetti that you have to deal with, and you have everything kind of contained within one coaxial limb. This is probably the most common type of tubing that you're going to see used with the Hamilton-T1 ventilator, although it can accommodate the more traditional Y tubing. It's just in the transport environment, this is probably going to be your best bet. When you look at the coaxial tubing, you're going to have your coaxial inspiratory expiratory limb. Distally, you're going to have this blue plastic device. This is a flow sensor, and you can see a white and a small white and blue tube coming out of that sensor. These are inspiratory and expiratory flow tubing that brings information to the ventilator to help with cycling and triggering. In addition to that, there will be an expiratory valve, and you can see that expiratory valve right here. This expiratory valve is going to actually attach into the expiratory port of the Hamilton-T1 ventilator, and I will demonstrate that in subsequent videos. So that's the basic vent tubing. Some additional accessories that you're going to want. You're definitely going to want a HEPA filter. Ideally, if you can get a HEPA filter that also functions as a heat and moisture exchanger, or an HME, that would even be a more ideal situation. In addition to this, you're going to want mainstream capnography. I think that's absolutely essential for monitoring somebody on a ventilator. The Hamilton, depending on the options you have with your T1, has the ability to monitor capnography integrated into it, if that's an option that you were able to purchase from the company. Otherwise, you can use just a standard mainstream sensor that goes into your monitoring apparatus. In addition to that, I would also strongly suggest the use of an inline suctioning device or a Ballard device, so you can easily suction your patient without having to break the ventilator circuit and risk contamination and loss of PEEP and de-recruitment of alveoli. In addition to that, you're also going to want to have a test lung handy and available. I would also strongly suggest one of these, and this is a protective sleeve. This is a sleeve that, once you set the vent circuit up, zips up around the vent circuit, holds everything together, and protects it, and I think is ideal for the transport environment, because not only does it add an extra layer of protection, but it kind of helps keep things together, and I think facilitates the spaghetti management that you often struggle with in the transport environment. So in this next clip, I'm going to show you what the tubing looks like, or what you'll want to do once you take this tubing out of its package and set it up. All right, so here is a set of tubing that I have taken out of its package, and what you get is you get the flow sensor, and its tubing is discontinuous with the coaxial tubing, And so what I did is at several points along the tubing, I just taped this down and secured it. You can see that I have a fairly open amount of space here before the first layer of tape. And the reason I did that is when we start talking about doing the pre-op test with the ventilator, there is so you will need to disconnect and move this flow sensor around a bit. So this flow sensor and this adapter and this little stopper here are going to play a role in that. So you can see how I have that set up, and this little stopper here is just connected to the little plastic nipple that the flow tubing is attached to. So I just kind of have it set up like that. So this is actually the distal end of the ventilator circuit that connects to the patient. And then this is the proximal end that connects to the ventilator. And then you can see that I've just secured the flow sensor tubing at various points along this circuit to kind of keep things together and to help with spaghetti management. And then this is actually what gets plugged into the ventilator. Now you can see that the expiratory valve comes with this, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove this expiratory valve prior to attaching the tubing to the ventilator. All right, so you're going to want to remove that, and then this backing here you're going to want to remove. You're going to want to check this seal, make sure that the seal is intact. All right, and then this is actually going to get plugged in to the Hamilton-T1 ventilator itself, and I will show you how to do that in subsequent videos. All right, you can see the protective sheath has been applied, and what I like to do is just give myself a little space on the distal end of the circuit and on the proximal end of the circuit, and that just allows you the ability to troubleshoot and move things around easily. And then the middle part of the circuit is ensheathed or encased in the protective sheath, and again that just allows for some protection. So some people may choose not to tape the vent circuit prior to applying the protective sheath. I do, however, and again I think that's just another way of kind of keeping things together and facilitating the good management of all of the equipment. Okay, so here I have some of the essential equipment attached to the ventilator circuit. So here's the flow sensor. This is the distal end of the ventilator circuit. I've attached my mainstream sampling port for capnography. I've got my HEPA filter slash HME, and then I have my Ballard or my inline suctioning attached at the very end. And this is essential because for this to work properly, you're going to need this to be the most distal attachment, because this, of course, is going to be inserted through the endotracheal tube into the patient's airway. And then I just have a test lung attached to the end of the inline suctioning device, like so. And then now at this point, this is set up and ready for mechanical ventilation. That said, prior to doing this, you are going to want to just using the ventilator circuit itself, and there is some additional equipment, these little adapters I'll talk about in subsequent videos. You're going to want to do a circuit and preoperative check on the ventilator, and then once the checks are complete and the ventilator is good to go and your tubing is good to go, then you can go ahead and attach this equipment, set up the ventilator, and initiate mechanical ventilation.